was just a normal day. Yet, for one unlucky man who decided to travel Great Western Rail, whose first-class train travel went from mildly above average to a standard class return journey from the deepest depths of hell. Days Out Travel with Tony is proud to present GWR 2, Standing Only. No! I actually did use that concept of a mock trailer for a home video I did, thanks to a great idea from my friend. So thanks to her. Today I am travelling to Whirl, Weston-super-Mare via Great Western Railway. This is going to be a slightly different video because I'm going through London Paddington, which gets me access to the lounge. So I thought I'd have a little peruse around there, and then coming back in standard class, I would compare the first to the standard in an epic head-to-head for the ages. But before I get on to the absolute debacle that was the journey back, let's always start with the positives. As I was travelling first class through Paddington, I had access to the first class lounge. Now, GWR has 4 first class lounges. I haven't been to Cardiff, Penzance, or Truro, but London Paddington is something I've been in once before, and I was not overly impressed. Basically, though, it does open nice and early, so 5 o'clock in the morning to 11:30, Monday to Fridays, and then 5 till 9 Saturday, a little bit more lackadaisical on Sundays, 10 to 11:30. That's strange. Conditions of use: you can use the lounge 2 hours beforehand, and actually 1 hour after your arrival. I did not know you could access the lounge on arrival, so I will be well, I'm not sure I will be exploiting it because it's not going to be the most amazing of facilities. Obviously, don't steal stuff, which is what they supply. I think people were maybe putting a few little cheeky things into the bags, but give us a break. Give us a break. Dog friendly, blah blah blah. Anyway, I thought I would give it a go, mainly because it wasn't that much expensive to get the upgrade, but also I was travelling at 5:30 on a weekday, which is obviously peak crush hour, so I was somewhat apprehensive about getting squished and squashed and not getting a seat. So I took the plunge and booked first class. Anyone who is travelling to London Paddington and isn't familiar with it, I usually get the Bakerloo line up. I get the train into Victoria, change at Oxford Circus, Bakerloo, and coming out of the Bakerloo line, you go through the parade of shops and straight into the main concourse of the station. However, on this occasion, I got the Circle line via Farringdon, and that is a pretty long walk. You come out of the tube station, you then have to walk all the way to the platform. Then you have to walk the entire length of the platform to get to the same spot. So be conscious of that if you're travelling and you've got loads of luggage. You may be a little bit easier going via the Bakerloo line. In terms of locating the first class, that first class lounge in name only, I'm going to say, it is based halfway up platform 1. So when you come into the station, via, say, either way, the Bakerloo line, or you come around on the Circle or Hammersmith the City line or whatever it is, then you can go to platform 1, and it's halfway down there. So it's quite easy to miss. The sign above it is very small, very dinky, very dainty. It's almost like they don't want you to go in there, isn't it? Don't want you to go in there. This was around just after Remembrance Sunday, so they did have a very nice and poignant display of poppies and remembrance wreaths, so it was a decent gesture to commemorate the occasion. Okay, let's go in and get this over with. So this is allegedly a first class lounge. However, I'm saying it's going to resemble something of a waiting room, maybe of a doctor's waiting room, or just a general waiting room in a train station. Before we come to a couple of deceptive things within this lounge, the main part, you assume is the main part, is directly behind the entry desk. So you just walk around the corner and you are in this rather small, rather puny, rather limited space where there's not much room to sit, and you're all going to have to get quite close to people. It was heaving when I went in there, so you're more than likely going to have to sit with somebody, which is fine. Make friends. But as you can see, it is a basic lounge. There's not much in terms of ambient lighting. I don't know whether there's any background music. So this is not going to be a spot when you can just relax for your train. So if you can bag a seat, then you've got very, very limited options when it comes to refreshments. Coffee machine, some cans of Coke and lemonade, fine. And then just teeny miniature size snacks. So Seabrook. Now I love Seabrook crisps, but bloody hell, they're not like luxury. I mean, Tyrrell's crisps, maybe, or I like Piper's, and I love Seabrook, but these little Diddy 15-gram bags are just. There's some fruit, some peanuts, some biscuits too. So a few pleasant snacks, but this is not the sort of stuff you're expecting if you're used to traveling through airport lounges like me. Oh, and they do serve alcoholic drinks between 5 and 7. There was a sign there, a beer or a wine, but I didn't see that till I was leaving. So unfortunately, I couldn't have a cheeky one. The toilets were very clean, very hygienic, which is always a winner. The surprise, here's a shock, isn't it? They actually have shower facilities in here. I didn't see this advertised. I don't think it was mentioned in any of the literature, but there is a fully functioning shower, and it looked pretty good. Obviously, a lot of people aren't going to bring towels with them or the necessary toiletries. And I'm not sure how it works if they do, but I assume they don't give you towels. But anyway, either way, make sure if you are on a need a freshen up, then bring a towel. But in typical GWR fashion, one of the showers was out of order. And one final surprise is rather than turning left when you enter the lounge, if you keep walking, you'll actually go to what looked like a real lounge. I can't believe I missed this and I actually just noticed it on my way out. So, a little tip is maybe go and get some food and snacks, but go into this lovely leather bound, romantic space, which is considerably more pleasant and has a bit more atmosphere and ambience. Overall, the lounge was okay. It was meh. If you need a space to grab some snacks, maybe a free beer, a cup of tea, coffee, juice, then hey, it's better than nothing and cheaper than probably Pret. Well, it's not probably cheaper than Pret a Manager actually when you think about it, but how much these frigging tickets usually cost. Anyway, let's move on to the journey, the first class journey. I have previously reviewed GWR first class service. I'm going to check the link in the video up to the top here. So I'm not going to go over all of that again. What I will say is this is an evening service, so it's slightly different to the daytime one in that, first of all, you get a complimentary drink. Yes, you get a complimentary beer or wine when you're traveling between it's 5 and I think it was 7:30, which was good. Of course, I made the mistake when a bit like the aeroplanes, isn't it? A bit like the trolley. So when the girl comes along, or could have been a man, it was a girl, a woman. Sorry, that makes me sound old and patronising, which I'm not. Well, I'm old, and I try not to be patronising. Anyway, so the girl came around, like a woman, it's a woman. But when the person came around first time, I said, "Go on, then I will have a beer," and it was a nice beer. When they came around the second time, I said, "Oh, can I have another beer?" Actually, sir, we're only supposed to give you one. It's only one complimentary drink. Unbelievable. Uh, Obviously, I think some of the staff on here may be a little bit flexible on that policy, but come on, GWR, that's bloody stingy, isn't it? But fortunately, I brought my own stash in case of an emergency, and obviously, it was an emergency that I couldn't get another beer for free. So I had to take one for the team, two for the team, three for the team, no more than four for the team. No, it was three. It was three, excluding the free beer. The two free beers, it was three beer. Anyway, please don't judge me. And I realised the only thing missing from my earlier review was the reclining seat, a full display. So here it is. My opinion on GWR's first class service hasn't changed much, hasn't changed at all, actually, in the years I've travelled. This is not a particularly brilliant product. However, if you can get it for quite cheap, £10, £20 maybe, and if it is on a busy route or peak time, it is definitely worth considering for peace of mind. Now, when I talk about peace of mind, let's talk about the return journey. So, I was going to say do a head to head, about standard versus first, but I couldn't because it was very impossible. Very impossible. It was just impossible. There's no gradations of impossibility. There, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I'm going to do some stock footage just to give you a very brief indication before I get back to the journey from hell. Unlike first class, which does have solo seats that I love, I will give GWR credit for that. Standard class is a 4 and a 2 configuration where it is considerably tighter in terms of the space, and when things get busy, they get really busy. Apart from that, most of the practical things are the same. The storage rack, for the bigger storage rack at the end of the carriage, is pretty much the same. The overhead storage is also the same. Just the fact that the seats aren't as big, aren't as spaced out, or indeed don't have that rather puny recline. This is, I mean, it's fine. I actually don't mind standard class. And if it's a quiet train or it's empty, it's a pleasant enough journey. But when it's not empty, it can get very ugly. Let's talk about getting ugly. When I was down in Whirl, it rained, and when it rains, it means the trains get totally screwed. In fairness, it was storm cloudier, but even so, you'd think they'd take care of these things, but they don't. So my train was cancelled. I thought, okay, let's jump on the earlier train. That earlier train was delayed by 29 minutes, which was super frustrating. And I get into Bristol Temple Meads with about 10 minutes to go to get on to the earlier train. The 10:30 train was meant to be my one, which was cancelled. So got on the 10 o'clock train. I say that, got on the 10 o'clock train. It was absolutely jam packed, heaving and barging and trying to get on the train, and it was super stressful. And get there, and nope, sorry, standing room only. Not just standing room only, it's standing all the aisles, all the way down the aisles. It was standing room only. And why do people still try and push past? It's like we're not going anywhere. We're not going. So I wasn't in standard class. I was in standing class. The train driver was also late for work, so we were half an hour late departing, and we also had someone pull the alarm at Swindon, so it was a terrible, awful journey. So I guess all that remains for me to say is, where's the best place to stand on a train when it's standing room only? Firstly, if you can ditch your bag either in the rack at the side or above the head, it's good to try and get as much space as you can and not worry about having your bags to trip over. Secondly, try and move down the carriage, because if you move down the carriage, you're going to be less claustrophobic, because when you're stuck around the doors, that's when the congestion starts. So it'll give you a bit more breathing space. And of course, the best place to sit in this situation is like this young girl, a girl again. She was a girl actually, so I think she was under 18, so that's fair enough. On the floor, I think that says it all. That sums up my journey back, and I think sometimes that sums up just how poor GWR can be, and perhaps why they want you to buy first class tickets. And this situation, we painfully familiar with those who regularly use the British rail system, and just how terrible the service and the frequency and the quality can be. If you want to know how to survive the intricacies and complications and enraging frustrations of the rail system over here in the UK, you can check out this video.